Hi everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, welcome to another section with Law Accent. So this afternoon we'll be doing something very different from what you've been seeing on our page. So we've just been having a gist this afternoon. And what are we going to be like? What's going to be the center of our gist? So we'll be talking about women. And why are we choosing to talk about women? Because today is International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. And so we'll be talking about all forms of violence. And at the end of today's discussion, I believe that you will have a different view or what you think or what you feel violence is about. So like I said, today is International Women's Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. And it's because women are vulnerable people. There are class of people that are described as vulnerable people, the vulnerable set of people. So we'll just be looking at what is obtainable as regards violence, the provisions of the law, the response of the society. So this is just what we'll be talking about this afternoon. So my name is Ade Damola, and with me this afternoon is Alright. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we'll be discussing this afternoon. So let me start with a brief history, because like I said, people are always saying that why is it that there's always something to say about women. And the background to this International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women is as a result of an event that happened on the 25th of November 1960. So you agree with me that violence against women is something that's it's not just a recent occurrence, it's something that has been on for long ago. And we are looking back to going back to memory lane 1960 now. The story of three sisters, we call them the Mirabelle Sisters. So these are women that they took a shift from what is obtainable, and they decided to stand against dictatorship. And as a result of this, they were executed, they were assassinated, they were killed. The three of them, three sisters. You can imagine how their parents, what they would affect at that time. So as a result of this, there were so many global responses, and the United Nations, which is like a body that has to do with makes provisions for unity of nations, unity of countries, and the like, they came up with a day. So they decided that a day is going to be set aside to celebrate women. Isn't that a very good one?
Very interesting.
All right. So what can you say when you talk about violence against women? What comes to your mind?
Okay, for me, violence against women and girls are it has no boundaries, it has no social or economic boundaries, and it's not it's happening in one part of the country, it's not happening in another part of the country, it's happening everywhere. Even the United States that we hold so very it's also happening there. In Nigeria, it's happening in the parts of Nigeria, in the south, in the east, in the west, everywhere. It's happening everywhere. That's why we came about, let's talk about this thing. So women are out there, they are not aware of what is happening. They are not aware that they have to stand for their rights. They are not able to talk about this thing. So that's why we came up with this idea that since today is our day, let's have a topic to celebrate our day.
Wow, that's a very good one. I like the fact that you said that violence against women, it has no cultural boundary. So it's not that I'm Yoruba, it's only Yoruba girls that experience violence. It's only Igbo girls. It's only Nigerians, or even Nigeria. It's not limited to even the white that we look up to and we think that they are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see violence at another level. So this afternoon, that's just what we're going to be talking about. So and another thing that you should note is that violence against women is a violation of human rights, and not just human rights. And because remember, we're talking about women today, so violence against women is a violation of the rights of women, and it is something that takes place every day. If you put let's say you gather three women together and you ask them, you discover that at least one of them has experienced one form of violence. It's something that is very very, very strange. And yesterday when I was just trying to just check around and the likes, I understand that Nigerians, we don't really have good statistics, but I had to look at the UN statistics, and one of the things that I got to know was that according to the United Nations, the women arm of the United Nations, it states that nearly 1 in 3 women have been abused in their lifetime. That's like a very, 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 very alarming thing. You can imagine putting 3 women and 1. So if you now gather like 1 million, how many? So this is something that kids are writing every day. And this UN data also reveals that from 13 countries, like at least 2, you see 2 in 3 women, they report in a day that they are being violated. So this is to say that this is an act that we really need to talk about. And we have a culture in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, this silence culture. So this is one of the things we also...
And you forgot to add that during the pandemic, the
Yeah.
rise of violation in women was much.
As
Because
in,
everybody was at home,
Yes.
violent man.
yes. So before now, you know, people will go to work and they'll come back. The husband, people spend a lot of time with their colleagues at work. And now that there's pandemic, everybody is at home. There's no going out and all that. So people, their tolerance level. So you don't get to know that some men don't have tolerance level at all. Sorry, we are talking about this today. It's just like today is Women's Day, so you just have to just bear with us because these are realities. And by the time you get to hear some stories, you'll be shocked at things you will know. And just like I said earlier, the UN statistics says that 1 in 3 women and girls experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. And most of these abuses, they are from intimate people. And when you say intimate people, we talk about either, can even be brothers violating their sisters. Is that serious?
Happening.
You see fathers violating their children. You see husbands, people that are said to they do husbands. And you'll be shocked that is this like so many things are happening. And another thing that I also got to know from the UN statistics is that 137 women are killed by a member of their family every day. Like this, when I saw this, I was like,
now calculate that
135
days in a year.
In a year.
Wow.
That we can imagine the mortality rate. And another statistics is that fewer than 40% of these women who experience violence, they don't seek help at all. And that is why we are having this discussion today, so that if you know anyone who is going through violence, or even if you are the one, you should speak up. You should encourage people to speak up. You should believe people's stories, because sometimes when people say some of these things, you might be like, no, it's not true, Joe, or just go and sit down, or just manage with everything. No, you shouldn't. You should encourage people to speak up, because it's because people are keeping silent.
Yes,
that's why we keep seeing more cases. So when we talk about violence, what is it about? So according to, I'll still refer us to the United Nations Declaration again, because this is one body that is really concerned with protecting women, not just in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a part of the United Nations, but globally. So the United Nations Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women in 1993, it defines violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results in, just following, it says that any act that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. Like, this is a very elaborate definition. So unlike what you understand by violence, for when people say violence, just be like, when I eat you, that's violence. No, but this one is saying that even psychological trauma, anything that is likely. So even if this thing has not happened, but it's likely to cause me harm, is violence. So that's the definition for United Nations. So what are the what can you talk about some various manifestations of violence against women?
Okay, there are various ways violence can happen to a woman, and one of the most alarming and the one that is very common nowadays is the sexual violence. you see a man and a woman having sexual issues, having a woman experiencing sexual violence and harassment. Come to think of it, okay, a woman has gone, like, we're in the modern age, and this age, both men and women were working. And normally, as a woman,
some women even do more than
exactly. And as a woman, okay, you have to do this, you have to keep your home, you have to do all of those things. And after she has gone out and come back, and then the man will still expect to experience the conjugal rights. I'm not saying that, oh, it's wrong for a man to have his conjugal rights, but then when it's not willingly, the woman is not willing to do
and
that.
that's why sometimes we talk about marital rape.
Exactly, she should respect that. But you see some men, no, they can bring down the house and they even go to the extent of raping the wife. And also sexual harassment for female staff. You see a woman in her office, oh, the boss is liking her. This is something that has happened to me before.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
Exactly.
Would you like to share?
Oh, yes, why not?
Wow.
I won't, don't let me mention name. Okay, I was experiencing such, it happened to me. Okay, they said, oh, this particular boss is like this, is like that. Oh, I was like, oh, such can never happen to me. But then it did, and it was that point I got to realize that, oh, I see why females or women don't like to speak up when they experience something like that, because it was terrifying. Like, I could not get my head wrapped about it. And then when I spoke up, oh, the guy or the boss in question, they knew that this one is going to tarnish my image. He went about telling people the other story. But then why I could not take it up legally was because in Nigeria, you say, okay, where is your evidence? I do not have cogent evidence. And someone in which it had happened to, she could not, okay, I was like, let's put heads together and let's say, so this man will not go ahead doing this to women. But she was like, oh, our job is important and this and that. Okay, fine. These are the reasons why so many people don't talk about these things. And you notice even on the streets, in the house, a boss like Ogat or Moshe, I'm sorry to use the and if you notice a child is being molested by a father or our uncle or maybe the megad and the like, so these things happen everywhere. You need to say no to sexual violence, sexual harassment. Once a lady is not willingly to have such affair with you, please leave her alone. Don't force her.
Thank you. Like, okay, what you shared now just reminded me of an experience I had. You know, when we started, we gave the statistics that 1 in 3 women, when you gather them, we are just 2 now. And I just remember I also had
more than 1.
Yeah. Now I had an experience. You remember when Lagos State just launched these blue buses, these new BRT buses, the one with cool ACs, and so one of the days we were trying to explore, I was going to court, and towards this marina between Ido to Marina, so we're almost approaching TBS where we're going to alight. I just felt this cold touch.
Imagine.
On my lap. So I thought, I was like, okay, there was a man seated by my side. So I was like, okay, maybe his hand mistakenly. You know, the AC was cool. That's how I was like, okay, maybe his hand mistakenly. But even if it was a mistake would not be in between, it would be beside. So I was like, and just like you said, because of this fear, I just put myself together and sat down. I was like, what is this? Inside BLT. Early morning. I don't know you from Adam. So I just put myself together, and the next moment again, just like you said, when people keep quiet, it tends to happen again. This same man again, I felt the same cold touch. So I was not like, but I wasn't very audible. I just told her, I said, uncle, if you do this again, I will shout.
If you are definitely people inside the box.
Yes, because it wasn't something I was expecting. It came as like a shock.
I can imagine, early in the morning.
It was when I now got down from the bus, I was not like, why didn't I scream? Why didn't I like raise an alarm? At least it was inside a public place, so people can like talk to the man. People can even get him arrested and all that. Even that's me who am a lawyer. So you can imagine someone who does not even know anything about him. So I was just scared. It was when I got down, I was not like, so I can easily like put myself in the shoes of women who are sexually assaulted. Sometimes fear It's one of the reasons why people don't speak up, and that is why even in the midst of this abuse and the like, you can just summon courage. If I was courageous enough, I believe that man wouldn't have gone scot-free.
Or maybe you were not really aware that okay, you stand up and speak for your rights.
And that is why the UN definition says that violence is not something that is just in the private cycle, it's in the public. So another form of violence is this sexual stalking.
Yeah.
You see people stalking you. That's another one. I as in, it's very strange. It's very strange. Sometimes that's why I said people just feel violence is when someone is physically abusing you. But even stalking people on internet, cyber harassment, that's another thing. So it reminds me again of another time. I'm not really into Facebook. There was a time I was just okay, let me just even check my face, because I kept seeing messages, and there was this particular message that struck me. The guy kept sending messages over and over and over, because I wasn't responding, and he got to a point the guy he started raising, like, sending abuse. I'm like, I don't know you. So even if you want to be my friend, this is how to go about it. So these are some of the things that people experience every day.
And we also have human trafficking, that is slavery and sexual exploitation. You see women, though this one now, most women, most or majority, they tend to be okay, everybody wants to japa, like the word is japa. They are too desperate. So I feel that we should tend to reduce our rate of desperation. You don't even know where they are taking you to, or because an offer came that they need some girls, or there's an offer in the UK or in Italy, and you don't even know what they are doing there. You didn't go through, like, how would I put it now? You didn't make enquiries. And at the end of they end up being into slavery. When you not get there, it's not what you don't intend to do that you are doing. But then most of them even go to the extent of taking oaths, taking vows that you must not stop, you must not say this. And at the end of the day, you see ladies, they end up doing stuff they are not meant to do. They end up, in the process, some even die. In the process, they get pregnant, go to abortion, and the likes. These are the things that are happening. We ladies out there, we should reduce our rate of desperation. That's what I would just say. We should not be so desperate to travel, too desperate to want something, because we are vulnerable. And as a result of desperation can lead you to anywhere, any length. You end up doing things that at the end of the day, it's either you regret, or at the end of the day, you are sorry for yourself.
Yes, like, okay, let me just bring in this part too. So I would say that this human trafficking that you just talked about now, people who are adults can easily relate to it. So let's look at children that they don't even know anything. So it's not even a state of being desperate to japa or to make money. But you see innocent female children. It's female children most of the time. You see them, they get them for house help services and the like. I remember last week I was in court and a criminal matter was called, and when the charges were read, as much as it sounds a bit interesting for lawyers, the charge is this: the man was charged for child trafficking, and the interesting thing is the fact that the guy took this 14-year-old child, took this girl from Alapere, Lagos Alapere, took the child to River State.
Wow!
So that's still a trafficking within Nigeria. The child, you can imagine this child was taken outside Nigeria. So they were so the man took the child to River State without the girl's consent, or even the parents' consent, because that child is underage. So you can't even say the child can give consent, because if they are less than 18, you cannot give consent to things like that. So he took the child to River State, and that is the leg of trafficking. So the guy then took it a step further. After taking her to River State, he started sleeping with her underage.
Wow.
So after that, he took it a step further. And what did he do this time? After, like, he already moved her from Lagos State to River State, moved her again to as started using her as his sexual mate, and then after that, the charge read that he then sold the girl.
Wow.
Like, gave the girl out to another person, someone, for house help services and the like. So this is like a case of human trafficking in different phases. And why I said it was a little bit interesting for lawyer was the fact that the man pleaded guilty. So you see that this is something that he knows that these are things that you see every day. You read different cases of
As
sexual
we're even
harassment.
talking now, so it's happening.
It's happening. I could remember during COVID this case of this University of Benin student that was raped in church and all that. So there are so many cases. Even we had the lawyer colleague that her husband, because of sexual violence and the likes, the woman passed on. So these are cases of like very, very extreme cases that you wouldn't want to hear about. Then another thing, another harm of another part of another manifestation of this violence is this child marriage. So you see cases of children underage getting married to older men, people that are old enough to be their father, and it's not the fault of these children. It's the parents. You see parents giving their hands out to marry because you believe that once this child is outside your room, then you have little or no parental
say they don't
responsibility.
have out of fear that no money and they like this old man that wants to marry their child will tend to take care of the family or take care of our younger siblings. You put the child at risk because at the end of the day, the child is too young. She's married, definitely the man will expect to have children. You see her giving birth at a young age, and later in the future, we hear, oh, she had ovarian cancer or she had some kind of women disease and the like. I was on Instagram one day, recent. On Instablog, I just saw the headline: a 64-year-old pastor getting married to an 18-year-old child. And then they did this flyer, all this wedding, and they were saying God's will. I don't understand what kind of God's will is that. And that's the second time she's meant to be the second wife. And the members of the church, the members of the family, they rallied around and sing snapping picture. To me, that's arrant nonsense.
Yes, okay, we can even still say that the child is, you said 18.
18.
So we can say that she's young to marry a 64-year-old man, but when you look at under the law, like someone who is 18 years has passed that age, that child stage, but then 64 to 18. The age difference is so
mine and grandfather.
Okay, so another form of violence, like these are the very popular one that people can easily relate with. But you know that there are also other forms of violence that you might not even know they are violence. For example, when your partner is tracking your phone, your partner is even telling you, oh, you have to these are the people you should talk to, you shouldn't talk to these people. So these are some acts that constitute violence in the modern day definition of violence.
You see some men will tell their wives that, oh, so time, you cannot go out from so time. Once you are outside and you don't come to my house by so time, you see what will happen. And you see the woman should be afraid that, hey, my husband this, my husband that, this man is going to do this. You see some women, once they just see the call of their husband, honey, dear, hey, hypertension. And you see some men, they'll be like, oh, I need to know what you are doing on your phone. Can't a woman have a life on her own? Must you know, if I'm pressing my phone, does not mean that, or I'm smiling when pressing my phone, does not mean that I'm chatting with one other guy. If you're chatting with one other guy, then that means, oh God, check yourself. There's something that you are not doing that is missing. Or you see some men say, oh, I want to know the password of your phone. And please, as for me, if a man wants to know the password of my phone, Oga, you too, I must know the password of your phone. Please give and take. You cannot have my own password where you hide your own password. So if you cannot release your own password, then I can't release mine. But then I feel that it can, if both parties are not having any hidden stuff, you can share password. But then it should not be that you should not choke the woman. That you don't let her be, you don't let her, I don't know. I really like that part. And it's even so bad that some men beat their wife, turn them to punching bags.
Instead of, if you want to practice boxing, go to the rings. They train. I used to see their fellow men. This Tejo show, is it Tejo show now? This stadium at Yaba. I used to see people, you want to learn how to box, go there. Let's know you have that power. You don't exercise.
And funny enough, those kind of men, when they see their fellow men that is trying to fight, they'll be afraid. They cannot fight. But when it's not the woman that is vulnerable, that's when they want to beat her and just stop.
So what do you think is the issue?
Well, what's the issue?
For this violence exhibited by men.
I feel is to me. I feel is it starts from the home. It starts from little, like when before the man grew to the stage of the man, like when he was still a baby, when he was growing up. Because like they say, charity begins at home. I feel that okay, now that we're in the modern age, 21st century, and we all are enlightened about these things to some extent. We should learn to train our male child properly. You see some of these things all of these men exhibit, they are what they must have passed through in their home, in their family. Experience. You see a young boy that grows up in a family that the father molests his mother, beats his mother. Even some men, they don't just only do it to the wife, they do it to the female children. A guy that grows up in that kind of family, obviously that's what he will do. It's only if he has been enlightened. That is what he will grow up to become. I feel that parents of nowadays, especially we youths that are giving birth, we should learn to train our children, our male children properly, then to make them to be responsible. Because if you are responsible, you won't go about doing all of these things. Enlighten them, let them know what is good and what is bad, let them know their do's and don'ts, let them know how to take care of a woman. Women are meant to be cherished, they are meant to be cherished, they are meant to be taken care of. I was coming to work I think this week, and I saw a little boy, like he was also going to school, and it was obvious that they were not going to the same school, but I think maybe the school is in the same area because he was not with his school bag, but he was on uniform. If you need to see how he held his sister, he was carrying a bag, and he was like, you will know that yes, no, this boy, and obviously the age gap between them is not much because men looking at him, is that the boy is like 10 and the girl is like 8, 7, but he was responsible for his sister. And such kind of child, even at home, it's obvious that no, he will know how to do little things. But you see some men who say, oh, I'm the man of the house, I cannot clean. Oh, I'm the man of the house, I cannot cook. It's a woman's duty to do all of that. And when you train your men that, oh God, if you cannot cook, you cannot eat. I ask my younger cousins, they will say, so I'm the man. Which kind man? If you cannot cook, you are not going to eat. If you finish eating, wash your plate. Don't wait for somebody to come and wash it for you. You don't beat your sisters. All those kind of things. If you let them know from little, they tend not to become animals. Sorry to use that word. So I feel home training matters a lot.
Yes, I think like that's a very profound one. Talking about family background, entitlement, cultural background, and all that. And you capped it by saying that we should prepare our boys for the future. So it's not just when the man is 30 and is married, he's already beating his wife. That is not at that time, and that's why we don't treat a woman the same. It starts from like when the child was small, and that's why I said charity begins at home. And this part I said, this Bible passage that says that train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart.
Sorry to interrupt. There's a story of this one is not even a story. Something is happening in my compound. Like I don't know, maybe I feel that the parents of this child should caution the elder brother. He has three younger ones. He's the eldest. He's the guy. God, if you see how this boy is always any little thing like this, dancing, we're always hearing the girls shouting, crying. But then I don't know. Maybe that's what the father is doing to the mother. But then such kind of boy, when he grows up to become a man, obviously
before he grows to become a man, you can imagine that kind of child when he gets to school. Female counterpart, like since that's something that he does, he just feels like it's normal to
beat anything she says, slap.
So why do you think women fail to seek help when caught in this web? Why?
Well, I feel some of them are afraid, fear.
Just like my story, I was scared.
They're always afraid, and like I said then during my own time, it's not just like, people, other ladies, when you hear rape story, remember this Baba Jesha and one other girl, why did she talk, all those kind of things. Hey, it's not why did she, until you are in that situation, you would know that words will not come out from your mouth. Like at that point, I could not even face the person face to face. My eyes were blurry, I was shaking, I was shivering. So I feel they're always afraid. And then when we're in this part of the society that they say is the men's world, when you speak up, when you talk, they will say this and that, what is it doing for you? Did it touch you? Did you even get pregnant? Were you infected? So what happened? Okay, you see a 70-year-old man raped in 6 months. Please, okay, fine. I don't understand. Also, there's attraction. How does a 6 months? 6 months. She doesn't even know anything that is happening. Hey, and you hear them that they violated this girl. And guys, I feel that, and again, after speaking up, some people after speaking up, they're always afraid of the societal discrimination, the shame. They will say, you have been violated. This one is this kind of person. Fear of them, exactly. So I feel that is one of the reasons why they don't.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Like, this silent culture is something that we really need to work on in not just our judicial system, but culturally speaking, because this talking about is something that people find it very difficult, and even when you speak up, people will try to they'll shut you down.
Exactly.
So you see cases of a woman saying, my husband has been harassing me, my husband has been doing this, has been doing that, and people will tell you, the father of your children, stay there, endure.
Exactly.
And it's the same father that after
they will survive without you. If you die, if I don't blend, if the woman dies, they will survive without you.
They definitely will. So we just encourage women out there, please speak up. If you know anyone who is going through any form of violence, please just try to encourage them. Don't shut them down. Believe their story, because there are so many stories you hear out there and you're like, can this really be happening? But then try to believe people, because people sometimes find courage when you believe their story, and you don't just shut them, or when someone is telling you, this is what I'm going through, and you just act like you didn't hear anything.
I report to the right authorities.
Yes, tell the right people. And I remember there was a time a client came to the office. Before she came to the office, she was having these violence cases, marital issues and the likes, and she went to report to a particular government agency. That was before she came to the office. And she said by the time she told them their stories, and the same women, today is Women's Day, so I think we also need to address our women, to the same women that you think you should understand you. It was this same set of women that were telling her that Shebi is still providing for your needs. He's still giving you money. So what else do you want to endure?
Keep quiet.
That's I think our government officials also need to be educated. Exactly. When people come, for the woman to leave her house to come and meet you, then she has summoned courage. So you should support her courage and courage. It's not just for you to now say, because the man is still paying and all that, say she should be and still die. It's not until she dies. And after she dies, the man will marry and they will say, why did she talk again? So this society, I think we all, so it's not just, we're not just addressing men today, women too. Please, let's help ourselves. So we've talked about, we've tried to relate this violence, sexual violence generally. We've tried to bring in real life stories, facts and the likes. So in Nigeria, can we say that what was the legal response in Nigeria? So I will start by saying that Nigeria, just like we said, this thing is not something that it's limited to a particular boundary, a particular location. Nigeria is also not left out, and Nigeria also, just like other countries have put laws into place, Nigeria is also trying our best to, and it can still be better. Nigeria is also trying our best to put in measures in place to protect women. So I will start with the Constitution of Nigeria that talks about, because the Constitution in Chapter 4, it provides for various rights. So you see right to life, right to dignity of human person, freedom. We talked about freedom today,
Yeah.
where some men will cap their wife. They say you cannot. So there should be freedom in the marriage, liberty somewhere. After you get married today, you cannot go and visit your family members again.
Yeah.
Is that serious? You hear so many strange.
You can't have male friends.
You can't have male friends because
married.
you can't associate and all of this. So I'll just touch on two of these rights, and the first one is the right to dignity of human person. So this right says that nobody should be subject to degrading or inhuman treatment. So cases of violence, harassment, psychological torture and all that, the law frowns against it. Then another one is discrimination, even though this law does not say women, but it just says sex. So when it says sex, and because today we are talking about women, you can just bring out the women's sex part of it. So it says that nobody should be discriminated upon. And in some offices, you say office politics, because you're a woman, you cannot do some things. Even in the country, there are some if a woman runs for governor today, president, some men will not vote.
Yeah, exactly.
They say, hey,
what can she do? She's not meant to be in the other room.
And in this 21st century, you see a lot of women doing great things out there. And for example, look at the former chairman of First Bank, Madam Bukola Awoshika, like such a very great woman. And a bank of that stature, like of that magnitude, she was the former chairman. And still in this our men's words, they still call it chairman. Can't they put it as chairwoman? They didn't change it. Even in court, as lawyers, they say there's no woman at the bar. You still address the female judge as my lord, sir. You see, you sir. So this is just
apart
on the
from
lighter
even
mode,
the professional world. If you look at nowadays, if you look at Kekemara, females are driving Kekemara, Okada, females are driving, even down football.
These women, if they come back and bring money, you not say it's woman's money.
But then when a driver is like a downfall man and a woman, maybe even a private car, and maybe she's not really maneuvering the way other men, you start shouting, hey, all those kind of nonsense things.
There was a day I reported this same BRT. You know, see women drive BRT buses. And one of the men behind me was like, Obirin say any. That's in Yoruba. I was like, so she's even a woman. So is it that the woman should not work again?
I don't understand.
So this is justice. So there should be no discrimination in the workplace, even like any on any level, either at the higher this thing like in a recognized like institution or any form there should be no discrimination against women. So another notable law again that we have in Nigeria is this VA, that's the violence the provision of violence against women. So that particular act says that people should not be subjected to violence, and this VA Act, that's the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, is a national is a national law. So what I mean by national law is an enactment of the National Assembly. So for it to be applicable in some states, these states have to adopt it. Okay. So and one very interesting thing is that with the way we've been talking about violence, only 16 states in Nigeria
out of 36
have adopted that law. Have adopted that act.
So what's happening in the remaining 20 states?
Some have signed it, and some have passed it.
Okay.
They are waiting the governor's assent. While some they've not even made any move. And I wouldn't want to talk about some state because
not good there.
And some of these other states that have not passed this, and there are states that there are so many funny cases of this thing. So for example now, Lagos and Ekiti states, these are two states that they are really going against violence against women. They have their own special law against violence. Like in Lagos State, we have the Protection Against Domestic Violence Law of Lagos State. It was enacted in 2007, as far back as 2007. Wow. And Ekiti State also enacted its own gender-based violence prohibition law in 2016. So you see these laws, they all now expanded the definition of violence. And let me read one interesting provision of the VAP Act to you. It says that, just a moment, the VAP Act says that other than Nigerian laws, other than other laws that defines rape. Talking about rape now, other than Nigerian laws like the criminal code that says rape is when a man penetrates another, penetrates a woman's private part, vagina. The VAP has very interesting, and some of these our states, they refuse to pass this act. It says it defines rape to say that it includes oral and anal sex, as well as the use of objects or other body parts other than the penis of a man.
Even touching, illegal
touching. So that man that was touching me, if you touch a lady with any object or any part of your body, even if it's not your private part, that is rape under this
And what happened to you in the burial accident happens every time. Most ladies tend to experience this in the bus.
I think you once shared an experience with me where someone
as in my clothes that was well zipped, and that was not the first bus I was entering. Imagine several situations
so many
like
things
that.
Are happening.
There was a time I was inside the bus. I was watching a movie, and there was this Hausa man beside me. Just because inside that movie, the ladies boobs were kind of exposed. I just looked beside me. This guy was not comfortable. He was just moving his body. I had to pause the movie so I don't lead others to sin. Also, that I will not be the victim. So
that is wisdom. That is wisdom. So another provision of that VAP Act again. That's why I said it redefines violence. It says that forceful ejection of a spouse or attempt to forcefully eject a spouse from a house is an offense. And all these offenses, they are with penalties and sanctions. Some of them are imprisonment, some are fine. So another thing is that the VAPA says that any emotional or verbal or psychological abuse is an offense.
I hope women are listening.
So when a man is verbally abusing you, is subjecting you to traditional widow practices, all these things, they are violent. They are not defined as violence. So if you separate a child from his mother, it is violent. And we see cases of men, because they want to punish the woman, they'll go and kidnap the child from school, go and carry the child from school. Fine, some people say you cannot kidnap your own child, but then it's even a criminal offense in Lagos State, and I think we have similar provisions where you unlawfully move a child away from his parent, particularly when one already has custody of the child. It is very wrong for you to do that.
Some even turn their children against their mothers.
Yes. So these are, I believe that you've been able to pick a lot, not just one, because I know you don't have a different definition of what violence is. So what do you think? What's your advice to people out there?
My advice is, I would advise both ladies, young and old, girls, and our mothers, try to teach your female children how to speak up. Let them know their rights from their wrong. And some women are always skeptical when it's time to train their females on sex education. Tell them these things. Let them know if a guy touch you or one uncle touch you
sorry to cut you short. I remember when we were growing up, there was this funny story then that when a man touches
you're already pregnant.
Yes,
then
so I remember when I was in primary school, one of my very best friend, she might watch it anytime. She might watch this now, or she might be watching now, or maybe later.
Okay.
I remember one day someone touched her in school. She went back home and she was
that mommy, I'm pregnant.
Mom was like, what happened? She said someone touched me. So parents, let's not just say touch. Let's say the word. Let's say the word. Don't just say if someone touch you. Yes, say let them know what it is.
Speak up. Don't just hide in the fact that if I tell somebody, would they believe me? If one person don't believe you, tell somebody else. Another person will surely believe you. And don't just. And I will also advise, because it's actually rampant in this 21st century. Ladies, don't be too desperate. These things will come. There's time for everything. Even the Bible says there's time. Don't be too desperate, because in the process of being desperate, you tend to do things you're not meant to do. And these men, or the men that we're talking about, because there are also good men out there, they tend to override you and take advantage of the fact that you are desperate. So please don't be desperate. If you are going through something like this, speak up and let the culprit be known so that it will not go ahead and keep on doing this thing. And if you are married, your husband is doing all of this to you, speak up. If it's to leave the marriage, I won't advise you to leave the marriage, but then you have to go through so many things.
There can even be separation without
exactly
divorce.
for
Just
some
take
time.
a break.
And so that you will not end up dying because oh my children. At the end of the day, these children will move on. And they will surely take care of themselves. So I would advise you, speak up, don't be too desperate, and we should learn to train our children right from small so that they don't end up becoming something else in the society.
Alright. Thank you very much, Toast. I think in one word, what you have said is that everyone has a role to play in ending violence against women. I have a role to play as a lady.
I also have my own role.
Guys, you have a role to play. Parents, you have a role to play. Like colleagues at work, every one of us, we have a role to play. And that is why this year's theme for this elimination, it says that end all forms of violence. And it is now. It is not tomorrow. You have to end it now. You have to end it now. So we all need to jump into action. If you know anyone is going through any form of violence, like try to show empathy. Don't just not start saying it about you
or
again.
blaming the victim.
Yes, yeah. Don't point accusing fingers to say, oh, where were you or what were you wearing? What I'm wearing it shouldn't be an excuse for you to violate me. Yes. So we've come to the end of today's section. I believe that you found this section very interesting. I find it very interesting because I've been able to like see more things, know more things about violence, share my. At least now this my boss thing, I don't think it's not something I share with people. I just kept it in myself. Okay, I posted it on my WhatsApp status that day, and I didn't tell my parents. So I just kept to myself, and I know some people who knows me, they've been hearing this for the first time. Yes, every one of us, like every lady out there, they have something to say about
experience,
sexual harassment.
Little child has even experienced one way or the other. Yes.
So if you've experienced abuse and you need and you feel you need to talk to someone, you can just drop your question, or you can reach us at info@lawaccent.com. If you think you need to institute legal actions, or if there are times you just need to talk to someone, you can just reach out to us and we'll contact you, get back to you. Thank you for joining us today. And Gist with, what's the name of our show? Gist with, we get back to your name of this show. Gist with Tosin and Damola. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.